Hello everybody, welcome back to another video, and today I want to talk about Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. Now, this is the newest MCU film, as you probably are aware. As of the time of recording, it has been out for 4 days, I think. So far, I have seen it 3 times going into writing this. Okay, maybe 5 counting Thursday. But I saw it Thursday, Saturday, and today, which is Monday. So, yeah. 3 times so far, and to start this off, over the years, the first 2 Guardians movies have become my 2 favorite movies in the entirety of the MCU, so to say I had high expectations for this movie is putting it lightly, and honestly, it's really good. I do think it's the weakest of the trilogy. I think it has the biggest problems balancing all of its aspects in a lot of ways, and being expected to be a finale for these characters, it does hit emotionally very well, but at the same time it does get a little messy at points. But overall, it's a very solid movie. The characters here are great, as is always with the Guardians, although Star-Lord and Rocket do get the very central focus. The other Guardians do not get nearly as much focus as those two, and it does hinder the characters at points, but overall they're still solid. Rocket's origin is amazing in this movie. It is very well written, it is very well shot and directed. It's honestly, it gets really emotional at points, and that's probably some of the reason I think it looks good, because honestly, yes, if I went back to look at it without the emotional lens, it probably wouldn't look like it's shot all that great, because so much of it's CGI. But I don't know, it's great. It's really emotional and moving stuff. I really do love a lot of that chunk of the movie. I love Rocket. I love Rocket as a character in the MCU, so I'm kind of biased there. But Star-Lord has some very interesting dynamics with the team here. On top of that, you get to see him grow, and it's done very well and organically, and it makes sense. There are a couple of scenes where they kind of push stuff that feels a little awkward, like it's just to push towards that final closing part for Star-Lord, but overall it works, and for the most part it feels organic. And then yeah, the other Guardians, like I said, aren't on screen as much, but they're still fun. Still get fun banter and dialogue, and they still get some emotional moments, but the characters are solid as always. The plot is a little generic. They're just going all over the place trying to, save Rocket and stuff, basically, and it's kind of generic, whatever stuff, but it works. It works for the themes they're trying to tell here and the characters they're trying to build, but it could be better. But overall, it's still solid enough, so I give it a pass. It's fine. It doesn't bother me. But another thing to talk about with the MCU, because of how hit or miss they've been recently, mostly miss, is the VFX, which are honestly, from the first few watches, pretty solid. Now, that could go down on rewatch once I get to watch it at home in HD and pause and stuff, but overall, in my theater experience so far, it's been pretty good. It looks pretty solid. It's got some very nice effects. They look organic and natural in a lot of points. Obviously, it's CGI, because that you can't have a talking tree or talking raccoon running around. But still, it looks very well integrated into the environments, and it looks realistic. And that's a very positive thing, considering a lot of MCU movies recently have looked terrible in this category. And then, obviously, another thing we have to talk about is soundtrack. The Guardians movies are known for their soundtracks, and this one's pretty good. It has some standout picks on here, and then it has a couple of weak links, but overall, it's solid. It's got some very nice ones. Creep is a standout. The acoustic version in the beginning. Dog Days Are Over is used very well. A lot of these songs are just used really well on the soundtrack, and that does really justify their inclusion. Another thing is the action. There's one standout action scene. I'd say it's the best action scene in the entirety of the MCU, unless we're counting Daredevil, then maybe second to that hallway fight in Daredevil. But still, it is a very well shot and choreographed action scene. The way the camera moves around, it flows and everything, it's done really well. Some of the best action I've seen this year, obviously not the best. John Wick 4 came out this year, and that will not be competed against, but it's still got some pretty solid action in that scene. Though otherwise, I found the action to be kind of lacking in comparison. It's fine, but it's just generic MCU action. It doesn't look great. That scene is the standout easily, and the rest of it just doesn't come close to what the standout does. But overall, the action's fine enough, I guess. The humor and the banter and everything is hit or miss, as is always with comedy, but I feel like it's a lot more effective than a lot of other recent MCU movies in its comedy attempts. I laughed a lot more frequently than in stuff like Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania or Thor: Love and Thunder. I actually had quite a few laughs here. It's quite some fun stuff happening. But it kind of clashes with the emotional moments a little bit, in my opinion. Not enough to ruin it or anything, but it is a little jarring in a couple of instances. Most part it works fine, but there are a couple instances where it moves through the two just way too fast, and it just doesn't quite stick the landing. It comes close, but I don't know. Although, when this movie has emotion, it does hit strong. Rocket's origin story is very well told. It is very emotional. It's going to get a lot of people crying, myself included. There are some really devastating scenes with the Guardians near the end of the movie. I'm not going to really say what, but there is some stuff that happens that gets to be pretty sad. All that just builds up, and it delivers a truly emotional experience of a movie, and I really love it for that. It goes out in such a strong form, and I'm very satisfied with a lot of the stuff this movie did. I do think, like I said, the movie is a little too messy. It's honestly a little too long in my opinion, but overall I don't really care about movies being long, so I'm fine with it being 2.5 hours long. I wouldn't really cut it down because it didn't really bother me too much. 2.5 hours is fine, but it was a little messy. The second act was kind of mediocre in a lot of spots, but overall it's still a very, very, very good movie. It's just not quite as good as the first two in my opinion, but it's one of the better MCU movies overall, so it's still overall a solid, and I would recommend the movie. It's like a 9 out of 10, a 9.5, somewhere in there. So like a 4.5, low 5, somewhere in there. Like I said, 9.5. Overall, I would recommend. It's very good. But yeah, a little disappointed, but overall it's very satisfying, and it does deliver a solid conclusion. I would recommend it. It's a great watch. That's why I saw it 3 times. If I didn't like it, I would not have seen it that many times already, but I did like it, so I've seen it 3 times, with probably a 4th coming in the next week or so. But anyways, that's all for this video. Hope to see you later. Peace out.